The newly drawn riding of Port Moody Coquitlam stretches from the Fraser River in the south to Burrard Inlet in the north. It is, for the most part, made up of bedroom communities where people live when they're not working in another part of Metro Vancouver. Port Moody did have a brief brush with greatness when a political promise from Ottawa made Port Moody the western terminus of the new Canadian Pacific Railway. The year was 1879. The politician was Sir John A. Macdonald. Today, the future of the area is still being shaped by rail. The Evergreen Line is an extension of Metro Vancouver's rapid transit SkyTrain system. The previous Conservative MP for the area takes credit for the federal government's $424 million contribution to the project, but he's not running in the new riding, meaning it's up for grabs. All four of the major parties are represented.
I'm Finn Donnelly. I'm the NDP candidate for Port Moody Coquitlam. I've been the Member of Parliament for the past 6 years. I served as NDP Fisheries and Oceans Critic and the Infrastructure Deputy Critic. I've served on Coquitlam City Council for 7 years. I twice swam the length of the Fraser River, 1,400 kilometers, to draw attention to the health issues threatening that river. And I've lived in the Tri-Cities for 45 years.
I'm Jessie Adcock, and I'm the Liberal candidate for Port Moody Coquitlam. I'm running mostly motivated by the view of the world I want for my daughter. I believe that Justin Trudeau and the Liberals have the best platform for change, and I believe that Port Moody Coquitlam will be best served under a Liberal government. And I want to make sure that I represent Port Moody Coquitlam in Ottawa so that we can champion the priorities and the voices of Port Moody Coquitlam in Parliament.
My name is Marcus Madsen. I'm the Green Party candidate for the riding for Port Moody Coquitlam. And my priorities in this upcoming federal elections are modernizing our economy and get rid of the climate change, empower Canadians, and reintroduce proper democratic processes, and also establish proportional representation, and also build the Port Moody Coquitlam community of the future. So these are my priorities for this upcoming campaign.
The fourth candidate in the race is Conservative hopeful Tim Laidler. We weren't having much success reaching Mr. Laidler by phone or by email, so we tried dropping by his campaign office for a visit.
Hello. Hi there. David Kincaid's my name from CPAC Television.
Hi.
We've left repeated messages on your phone and never heard back from you, and then it says drop in, so we thought we'd come and see if the candidate was around.
Oh, great. He's actually outdoor knocking at the moment.
Okay, can we go catch up to him?
I'm not sure exactly which neighborhood he's in,
okay.
So I can't tell you that right now.
Have you got a cell phone we can reach him with?
Here, just hang on one moment and I'll get some
Thanks very much.
For you.
One of Mr. Laidler's support staff listened to our request, then dutifully noted all my contact information and assured us we would be hearing from them very soon, which we did. An email saying Mr. Laidler's schedule did not allow him to participate in our program. Apparently, he was on the campaign trail, which is where we found his competition, all doing their best to secure every available vote.
Hi, how are you? My name is Jessie. I'm your Liberal candidate.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I'm asleep. I won't
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Can I leave that with you?
For coming by. It really actually means a lot to me that you do.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I really do. And if you have any questions, my email is on the back side, and we're trying to answer all the on the inside of the paper.
All right, let's go talk to some folks in the flower shop. We're looking at reducing the tax rate from 11 to 9%. So we hope that will attract business owners like yourself to consider the NDP. We also want to invest in manufacturing and really focus on jobs and getting good jobs, as well as you've heard Tom Mulcair talk about $15 a day child care. Well, we think that'll help a lot of families and a lot of women, and then getting those women into the workforce will again help the local economy and allow more people to purchase things like supporting your store and flowers.
Okay. And what are your plans for minimum wage?
Right. So Tom Mulcair and the NDP have been very clear. We're looking at $15 an hour federal minimum wage. So for all federally regulated workplaces, so a lot of airports and telecommunication, that's where $15 an hour is what we're looking at. So it wouldn't necessarily affect provincial or small businesses that aren't federally regulated, but we're hoping that that's an indication of moving in a positive direction to help workers provide, the kinds of support they need for their families.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for answering those questions.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, great. Thanks for talking to me, Cecilia.
A good reception there?
Very good. Yeah, she had good questions about what an NDP government would offer small business.
Because I wouldn't have thought that was, your target audience, if you will.
No, definitely small business. Small, medium enterprises has been a focus of this campaign, and I think we've got a good offer in the mix. Moving the tax rate down from 11 to 9% has got a lot of small businesses interested in an NDP government. I think Tom Mulcair has shown that he has the leadership, the experience, and a proven plan, a track record.
6 years ago, you gained the seat in a by-election.
That's right.
You're going again. What was the last 6 years like?
Well, it's been excellent. Serving as an MP is a big responsibility. You're representing the riding on a range of issues, and you've got to take that voice to Ottawa and represent. So I've tried to make myself accessible. I've held town hall meetings every year. I've consulted with mayor and council. That's been my focus, is consultation. Hear what the issues are and represent. Take action.
Was there any question in your mind, Finn, that you would run for re-election?
Oh no, I've been focused on re-election. We've been working hard for over a year.
Hi, how are you? My name is Jessie. I'm your Liberal candidate. Just came to introduce myself and see if you have a plan to vote.
I do have a plan to vote. I haven't decided on who yet.
Okay, can I give you a little bit of information about myself before you decide?
Sure.
I sort of got the sense, though, in the early spring that something more needed to be done, because I didn't feel as if we were taking the threat of what the future Canada was becoming seriously. And I really felt that this election was at least the most important election of my lifetime, and that I wouldn't be able to live with myself on October 20th if I didn't do everything that was humanly possible to try and change the outcome of our future.
Is that a difficult decision to make, Jessie, given that you've got a successful career? You're not attracted to the perks of Parliament. Right. You're not attracted to the pension plan. It's a slightly higher purpose than that, I suppose.
It is. It's when I look at my daughter and I look at my nieces and my nephews and I see the future that's ahead of them. A future that has neighbor arguing with neighbor, a lack of opportunity in new industries that are emerging globally, a lack of collaborative relationships with our allies, a lack of opportunity, difficulty paying for school and then getting out of school and buying a house and then staying employed and then having transit and other infrastructure to maintain our quality of life. I felt that it's all at risk.
So, as you probably can detect from my accent, I'm not really from here, so I'm originally from Germany, and I moved to Canada the first time in 2005 to Vancouver, got hooked, and after my back then employer sent me back to Germany, Lufthansa German Airlines, I decided to return in 2007 and started in Toronto, and then we moved back to Vancouver. And just recently, here, a little more than a year and a half, moved to Port Moody and made it our home.
With your background and with your experience as an international citizen, now based in the Tri-Cities area, what's the motivation for putting your hat in the ring to become a candidate for the Green Party?
I had always a strong interest in green issues and the Green Party. I'm also an active member of the Federal Greens in Germany, in Berlin. And so there were many motivations. But to really work with the Green Party of Canada, it came to happen after I was diagnosed with cancer, successfully treated. And I decided it was time to do something more meaningful other than just earning money. And I volunteered for the provincial Greens during the provincial election in 2013. Joined the Federal Greens. I was invited to become a federal council member. And then I was asked to actually throw my hat into the ring as a candidate here in Port Moody. And since my decision to run, I never looked back and very much enjoy it. I like working with the community. I like talking with the people. And there are many issues even within our community that, if not addressed properly, I don't know which other party would be able to do it in a more coherent way.
Come on, Toshi. You're dragging your feet.
Yep.
Expand a little bit on the connection between being a cancer survivor and a Green candidate, or a politician, I suppose, in general.
Well, it's a good point. As you know, there are some connections, and healthcare is certainly one. Pharmacare would be another. And I feel that while in the cities, healthcare can be outstanding, and I was certainly one of the beneficiaries of a well-working system, people in the rural areas are not so fortunate. And one of the issues I have here is access, generally. Mm-hmm. We don't have enough medical stuff, and even there I have a great example pointed. And also the cost of healthcare is, for many people, it's unaffordable, especially when you have to pay out of pocket. So you don't necessarily pay attention to these things as long as you are healthy. Mm-hmm. But the moment you are in need, it certainly is a different matter.
Let's talk about the riding itself, because it's changed shape. Part of it used to be conservative, part of it was strong Finn Donnelly territory, and now it's basically two ridings in one, isn't it?
It's we lose Sapperton in New Westminster, and we gain Heritage Mountain in Port Moody and more in Belcarra. So it definitely changes the configuration of the riding.
Does it hurt you or help you, or does it make a difference?
That change is more favorable to the Conservatives, so it definitely isn't a help.
And is it good that the Conservative candidate is a newcomer? Would you have rather have faced James Moore, or does it matter?
I'm ready to take on whoever is representing the Conservatives. I'm happy to represent the New Democrats. I think we've got a compelling reason for Canadians and for folks in the Tri-Cities to vote NDP.
The riding itself is a combination of two previous ridings. So the top portion of the riding was previously, the James Moore was the incumbent there. And
so where we are now was
right.
Conservative territory.
Correct. And the southern portion is where there's quite a bit of traditionally NDP support. So Finn
Donnelly was the incumbent.
Correct. So now we've combined the two, and what we're finding is that there's a lot of people who still really identify with Conservative values, but that don't really want to endorse Stephen Harper for another term. And they can't ideologically vote NDP, and so for them, I'm providing a balanced alternative in the center. For NDP voters, I'm also finding that there's an opportunity there because they don't believe that a balanced budget is necessarily the best way to go when we are at a crossroads in Canada. And so they also are seeking an alternative. So there's a chance for me in both areas.
Would you acknowledge that people generally want to be polite? We are Canadians after all. And so they're going to tell you what you want to hear.
Potentially. But I've also had some very interesting conversations where people don't want to tell me what they hear. You know, I've met with some pretty strong opinions. People are quite vocal during this election. People that normally wouldn't talk about politics are talking about politics. So I think politeness is being put to the side right now. People's true beliefs are fundamentally coming to the forefront because we're having a national conversation on the future and what it is that Canada means to us as we go forward.
Who is your competition?
Yeah, the main competition is Conservatives. It's traditionally been a swing riding between NDP and Conservatives for years. So in the last election, I won by 3%. Very close.
That's wafer thin. And
yeah.
Now you've got a very strong Liberal candidate.
Yes.
And a Green candidate.
Sure. Exactly.
What does that do to the equation?
Well, it makes it more interesting for sure. It gives people opportunity to choose. And, you know, that's always healthy in a democracy. You have good, strong candidates representing their views and giving the opportunity for people to make choice.
I've heard other NDP candidates tell me that voters must not vote for the Greens because that clears the way for the Conservatives to regain the government. Your thoughts?
I think people in Port Moody, Coquitlam know that there's a clear path to defeating Stephen Harper and the Conservatives in this riding, and that's the NDP. If you want to defeat Stephen Harper and the Conservatives, vote NDP.
Even if you don't like the NDP?
Well, I mean, I hope to offer a lot of what people are listening to. I mean, I've heard on the doorstep Conservatives not happy with Harper over the Senate scandal and many other issues, and they're saying, hey, look, I'm looking at you for the first time ever. And, you know, I think they like what Tom Mulcair has to offer. They like that he's, again, got a proven track record, leadership, experience. We've got a plan. We're being upfront about our plan. We're telling people what we're all about, and it's fully costed. We're saying, look, we're going to provide balanced budgets, solid planning, and we're going to deliver on the promises that we're making to Canadians.
This has been an obstacle for me in this riding. There's no doubt. Mr. Donnelly takes every opportunity to tell people that this is a two-way race. I don't believe it's a two-way race. I believe that this is a race between 5 people, actually. We have a Marxist-Leninist and a Green candidate as well. There might be leaders and there might be trailers in different polls, and polling methodology varies. Some polls are extrapolated based on 2011 results. Some polls are using small sample sizes. At the end of the day, what I say to people, and this is what I believe because I'm a fundamental believer in the democratic values that Canadian society represents, that people need to vote with their hearts and their consciences and their minds for the candidates that they believe will best represent them and the platforms that they believe will best represent them. We don't need to gamify voting. We don't want to, you know, throw our eggs into baskets of polls that don't stand up to the test of resiliency. They have holes in them. And we've seen over the last couple of years, whether it be the results in the provincial election in BC or the results in the provincial election in Alberta, polls, you know, don't always carry through the promises that they present.
If you thought that your running in this riding would help get one of your opponents elected, would you drop out?
No, I cannot drop out. Every person has the vote to write the way he or she feels. It's a hard and might decision. And if I would drop out, I would let everyone down who actually wants to vote and has decided to vote Green.
And so I just want to be clear that that you reject the argument that the Green Party is splitting the vote and therefore allowing perhaps the Conservatives to come up the middle. We've got 3 choices, left of centre, 1 choice, right of centre.
Right.
And you know, 3 into 1 doesn't go.
So let me give you a very simple answer to this. If any of the other 2 parties, the Liberals or the NDP, fail to get their candidates elected, then I would go back to the drawing board, look at the platform, and see if it's attractive enough for enough people to vote for us. Or I would, if the platform is okay, then perhaps there was a problem with the messaging. Work on this one. And so I would not necessarily go after the Greens and say, hey, you guys, you cost us vote, you better stay on the sidelines. I think that doesn't work.
From what you said, you want to move the needle, as it were, on the Green Party itself. And this may take 2-3 more election cycles. Are you in it for the long haul?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The Greens are in for the long haul. The Greens believe in this country and its people, and so do I. Otherwise, I would not have joined the Green Party.
We sampled some riding residents' thoughts on the election, the issue, and their voting options.
I would say maybe the minimum wage. I kind of like what Mulcair was saying about bringing that up to $15. That
might get your vote.
That might get my vote, actually. That's pretty cool.
I've already voted.
Good for you. What do you vote for?
I'm not going to say.
I'm actually undecided. I have no idea.
Right now, I not decide yet. I talk to somebody and listen what a party they can do something. Not only say, you should say and do, you know.
So you're undecided still as to who you will vote for?
Yes, but but we are interested in vote today.
I'm leaning towards Trudeau myself. He has a couple things going for him. His youth.
Yeah.
He's more connected with people today than Harper would be because he's living back 30 years, 40 years.
Are you going to vote in the election?
Of course, yeah.
And do you know who you're going to vote for?
I'm not sure yet.
At this time, I'm leaning towards the NDP. That largely has to do with I like the appeal of Thomas Mulcair, and I like their platform.
I'm NDP all the way. I'm a social worker, so no Harper. Harper's gonna go.
Given the number of people who declared themselves undecided, it's easy to understand why the candidates are all grinding out the final days of this marathon campaign.
The Green Party, I know, does not expect to form government, right?
That's right.
So what do you hope will happen on the 19th of October?
So my personal goal is, and I've been very clear about it, is increasing the awareness of green issues and for the Green Party. And I feel with the way I've brought myself into this campaign, it is really working. I get very positive feedback. I would like to see increased voter turnout, not just for the Greens, but also generally. We managed to increase our voice in Ottawa regardless. So even if we just get a few MPs elected, and I might not be one of them, even though my ultimate goal is to be elected, then what we have done is we really have established the fact that there is a place for the Green Party, a legitimate place, and that our voice counts. So, and I will quickly touch the split vote argument.
Right, the idea of strategic voting. Or,
right.
And this is what your opposition is saying, that a vote for the Green clears the path for the Conservatives to be re-elected.
That is right. So what happened in the past was that whenever a Green Party candidate joined the race, it increased voter turnout. Our goal is to motivate new voters to come out and vote, or disenfranchised voters to bring them back and add their voice again to the election. If I, on the way, take votes from the NDP, Liberals, or others, that's of course, that's politics, but that's not my main goal. What I want is really get people back to the polls. Having said that, there is no wasted vote. Every vote counts, and every vote will add to our voice in Ottawa.
I've got a compounded tally of all the doors I've knocked on since, well, when I started to try and compete for the nomination. So it's cumulative since April. And what I've found is that there's 5 to 6 undecided to every one decided. So the polls in this case really can't tell us what's going to happen on the 19th. So on the 20th, I believe that it's going to be a photo finish in many ridings. I believe it's going to be a photo finish at the national level, but there is no crystal ball, and there is no poll right now that could really tell me what I see from every door that I've knocked.
So what you wish for and what you anticipate are two completely different things. You're not taking anything for granted.
I'm not taking anything for granted, and I'm not making the mistake of anticipating anything either. I'm preparing myself to expect anything and to be prepared for all outcomes. Here's what I do know. I do know there's chance. There is a chance for a Liberal government. I know there's a chance for Justin Trudeau. I know there's a chance for me. I know that I have participated in the democratic process, which was my right to do. And I know that there are a lot of people, hundreds and hundreds of people, who have joined me since I started this journey back in the spring and believe in the same things that I believe. And I believe that, as is our current, albeit flawed system, the outcome will be decided by Canadian voters. And that's why my plea is to youngsters who don't vote, take the time to understand who the candidates are and what the platforms are, And then also to those who stayed home and didn't vote last time, please come and vote, because we need our government to reflect a bigger majority of Canadians.
We knew this was going to be a tough fight, and you know, we've been working hard, and there's a lot of support out there.
You mentioned you'd been knocking on doors relentlessly, and what are you hearing from the constituents in this riding?
Yeah, I've knocked on thousands of doors, and I've heard a whole range of issues, but one main theme is affordability. So people are finding it harder to make ends meet. They are not seeing their dollar stretch as far, their paychecks, so they're having a hard time paying for things like housing or childcare or their medical bills or their prescription drugs. So they're having a tough time trying to make ends meet, trying to pay the bills, and that's what I'm hearing clearly, and they want a federal government that's responsive to that, listening to their concerns and taking action.
But what does that action look like, though? How does an NDP government change the fact that it's an expensive world to live in, especially where we are in this part of the riding? It's very costly.
It is. Housing is a huge cost. But I think in terms of an NDP government, what we're focused on is helping people in their everyday lives. Things like $15 a day childcare will really help a lot of families. Also, I mentioned prescription drugs. We have a plan to bring prescription drug costs down. Generic drugs, a bulk purchase by working with the province and the territories, and that would cut drugs in half cost. So from going from $6 billion to $3 billion, we could pass that savings on to seniors and to those that need those drugs to keep them healthy and return to health. And there are many other issues. Affordable housing. We want to bring in 10,000 units of market or non-rental market housing and social co-op housing. We want to work on the issues that people are concerned with.
But all of those things have expenses attached to them, costs attached to them. And how do you square that circle?
Exactly. It's priorities. You have to focus on your priorities, and the NDP has a fully costed platform. We're proud of what we focused on. Tom Mulcair and the NDP has been very disciplined in terms of what we're offering Canadians. We're saying, look, here's what we are offering. We've got whether it's childcare, affordable housing, health care, health for small business, protecting the environment, investing in manufacturing, help for seniors. We've got all our priorities, and we've got that fully costed, so Canadians know what they can expect from Tom Mulcair and an NDP. We've got a proven experience and a track record and a capable plan to deliver.
In a tightly contested four-way race like this, it's not difficult to find areas of disagreement between the candidates. There is, however, one thing they all agree on. They want people to vote. Even if the vote is not for them, it's better than not voting at all. Unless you're this guy.
I'm not voting, so.
How come?
I'm not old enough yet.
This is the one and only reasonable reason we heard for not participating in the 2015 federal election.